This is the Curatorial Knits Knitting Podcast. I am coming to you from a blustery but beautiful day in Oakland, California. And this is my little corner, knitting corner, literally, where I talk about yarn projects and where I get to connect with the larger knitting community. This is episode 14, and if it is your first time here, welcome. This is actually my 1-year Pod-iversary. So about a year ago, I started making silly videos of myself talking to a camera, and I posted them online. And it's been so much fun. I'm so glad that I started doing this. So today is going to be a little bit the same, a little bit different. I invited folks to drop comments in my previous video or to DM me or make a comment to a story that I posted on Instagram to ask me anything. So we'll have a little Q&A portion at the end of the podcast. I also am doing a small giveaway in celebration, and I'll be announcing that here at the front end. And in between, it'll just be normal me rambling about knitting, which is the name of the game. So welcome in the spirit of having the kind of crazy idea and getting over my own sense of holding back or just kind of feeling nervous about it. I would just say, if at any point you have a reaction to this video, if you have a piece of feedback, if something made you laugh, whatever it is, feel free to comment below or message me or connect in some way, because I really do think that my life kind of changed when I started putting myself out there more. And no matter what it is, I just want to take the small time that I have now to encourage folks to do that too. So I'll start with some really fun stuff. I'm gonna do a giveaway, and I'm really excited about this because I am very much hoping that instigating this gift and this process will help reignite a project of my own that I am still working on. And that is and that is not to say that so it's a giveaway of yarn, and it's not to say that this yarn needs to be used for that project. It absolutely does not. Please, you can do with it what you will. But I do have, and I'm really delighted to gift, 3 skeins of the linen quill from Purl Soho, color Baked Earth, which is a little bit lighter than the camera's making it appear here. It's a little bit, it is quite saturated, but I would say that the flecks of white from the linen, the undyed sections, are a little bit more dominant than the cameras might have you believe, but it's a really beautiful kind of muted pinky orange, and that's Baked Earth. 3 skeins of that, and 3 of is this Ceylon? Yes, vintage Ceylon. So I think this, and I have a ton of this, and I love this color. It is absolutely stunning. It's, what can I say? It's a classic of the channel's genre. It really is so beautiful, and I think that they would look amazing together in a half and half wrap. As I said, there's 3 of each, so plenty if that's what you wanted to do with it, or if you'd like to do another project, of course, you know, it's your choice. You would be the winner. So to enter, just comment below and like and subscribe, and I will pick someone with, I think it worked really well last time. I just did a random comment picker, and I don't even know how those work or how they exist on the internet, but it worked out really well. So I'll do the same thing. And I'm really excited for whoever gets these beautiful skeins. If you haven't worked with linen quill before from Purl Soho, I also really encourage you to do so because it feels really good in your hand, particularly as we're looking towards a few maybe warmer months coming up. I think it's something that I'm really excited to get back to, and yeah. So as you can see, it's a pretty full little bag, but I will for this giveaway ship internationally too. So if anybody is overseas, don't worry about it. Just put that comment below. We will get you 6 skeins of linen quill from Purl Soho. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I guess now to regularly scheduled programming. I am wearing my finished object from last episode. This is the Woodwardia raglan from the Pom Pom Magazine's Ready Set Raglan book. It's so fun. I did modify quite a bit. I modified the collar to be a 3x3 rib that decreased into a 1x1 rib at the top. I also basically took these 3 purl bumps and used them as kind of the touch point to do these 3x3 rib cuffs. I also used them instead of just a single, or I think it might have been 2 in the pattern, faux seam. I did 3 stitches there and then let that go into the 3x3 ribbing along the bottom hem as well. It is scrummy. It's so nice. I knit this in Explorer Knits and Fibers, Rockies DK, held with Explorer Knits and Fibers, Suri. It's so warm, but it's super lightweight, and it definitely, I think, fits the category of bougie sweatshirt. And I shall be entering the bougie sweatshirt along from Young Folks Knits. Casey has started a really fun project, and I'm really excited about entering this piece and encouraging other folks to make it if you haven't. It's a really fun, intuitive pattern, and I do think the little details really make it. So that's what I'm wearing, and I have 3 finished objects and 2 whips, and then we'll get into a little question and answer sesh. So I'll start with the little ones. I was working on this last time we spoke, one of the Cowl Town projects from my giant bag of leftover and non-sweater quantity yarn. I made this pretty cool cowl. This is made out of Nutiden, and it's the unspun pencil roving from Sweden from Honor och Air. And this is it's 2 skeins of color changing yarn that I paired and knit together, but going the other way. Oh, sorry, there are ends in this sweater. I literally just got it out of the blocking board 5 minutes before I started recording. So 1 skein goes from this taupey brown color. Let's cover my face so you can really see it there. Okay, so 1 skein goes from this taupey brown color all the way to the bright white that you see below. And the other skein goes from this beautiful rusty red into a dark green. So that was really fun. It felt really magical to pair them together, having pre-wound the balls, not knowing what was going to come next. And I think for the recipient, the intended recipient, this is going to be a really fun piece that I know goes with some of the things that he likes to wear. And he's a big fan of natural fibers, so I think that this will absolutely be a good fit for him. Obviously, I know some folks are quite sensitive to raw wool, but I find these 2 batches in particular of Nutiden to be very soft. They aren't toothy in the same way that some of the other ones are, and there's just still a lot of lanolin in it, which I think adds a real degree of skin conditioning, so you don't get that prickle factor as much. So we shall see, but I'm very excited to have that off the needles. It was a really fun one. The other project from the pile actually turned into a hat, and it's not quite done blocking. This is the Oslo hat by Petite Knit, and I knit it in 2 strands of Purl Soho's Simply Camel, held with 1 strand of Knitting for Olive's Silk Merino. And the camel color is natural, and the silk merino color is mushroom? Rose mushroom? Mushroom something. Oh, speaking of, do you want to know what I'm drinking? Well, I just finished. It's the Alive Ancient Mushroom Root Beer, because as I was being cheeky about my Bay Area beverage, of course, my camera had a moment, so I hope that this was not super disturbing or dysfunctional. But yes, I really quite like this. It's really good. It's an ancient mushroom elixir. It tasted like root beer. It was great. But I am also really just having a coffee. And it has been microwaved like 3 times, so you know. It's not the greatest version of the genre, I guess, but it's heart coffee, which is so exciting. Oh, and we can talk Rose City Yarn Crawl. Oh my gosh. Coffee reminded me of that because my favorite coffee places ever, Heart Coffee, is from Portland. So I was talking about this hat, which is for someone who I think will enjoy it and who wears lots of hats, but is also quite particular. So to be honest too, I'm a little nervous about my yarn choice. The camel is just so drapey that when I swatched for it, I thought, oh, I gotta hold it with a mohair to give it some structure. But even with that, I just am not sure. It blocked beautifully, I do say so myself, but I'm almost nervous to have someone try it on just because I'm afraid. You know what? No fear. I'm not gonna live in fear. I'm gonna try it on right now, on camera. We're doing this. Okay. So I just hope it doesn't feel too floppy. What do we think? I mean, I have a very small head, but I'm worried that it's a little big. It's cute though. I won't do the I made a hat thing again, I promise. I'm so sorry about that. What do we think? For a dude, I think it's quite nice. Yeah. Okay. This is happening, right? This is gift worthy? I think so. It's super drapey though. I mean, look at that. It really could be, I mean, it's so sweet. All right, so, but the stitches don't look amazing, maybe, but that's okay. It's a handmade item. It looks a bit handmade, and that's part of the joy. We'll see how it goes. It's a little bit damp still, so I'm hoping that maybe it'll dry all the way out and get a little bit more structure to it. Or it might just be a really smushy, squishy hat, and if so, I hope it's appreciated. I think, to me, that's the issue with gift knitting, right? Is that I tend to get so concerned about what someone else is going to think of the object that I'm giving them that it almost makes me not want to give it to them. Because it's, I mean, it's time and effort and materials and all that, but it's more than that because it's it's you thinking of them as it's being made. And so the idea that then that wouldn't be appreciated is like hard for me, I guess. Maybe I'm just a super sensitive flower. I don't know if anyone else feels this way. And I think it's a good thing to practice though. And that's one of the reasons I think I need to get through that bag. And for those of you who don't know, it's up here on this top shelf. So that's why I'm looking up into the corner. I don't see some sort of vision. But basically, I spent one evening going through my stash and selecting basically combinations of yarns for cowl or hat or kind of accessory projects that I could knit for friends and family. And I got really excited about it. Basically, I have a whole bunch of small projects lined up and kind of ready to go, the same way I do with my garment projects, which is super exciting. And then I got nervous about actually having to give these to people because then what would they think of them? And so I'm really trying to use this as a practice into thinking less about that in general. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I think it does. But yeah, this will be the first go of that, and I will report back. So my third and final finished object, I really do love it. It is the Azucena sweater. It's knit entirely out of La Bien-Aimé's Corrie worsted, which is perhaps the greatest color work yarn ever. I really do love my tension in this color work, if I do say so myself. I think it looks stunning. I love the way it all reads, but is very low contrast, but is still super discernible. The gray is such a beautiful silver shimmery gray, and I kind of course, though, couldn't get enough of these colors. I'd been knitting the gray for so long that I wanted to come back to them. So I did add a little bit of kind of, hello, do you see all my ends I still have to weave in? There they are. But I did add this striping. I did 2 rows alternating on the large ribbing on the bottom. That's like 3.5 to 4 inches of ribbing, which I really like on kind of a jersey sweater like this. I'm thinking of this as kind of adding a sporty flair to it. And then I did 3x3 on the cuffs, and like, I don't even know, it was really nice. I'm not gonna lie. I think the proportions of this are really perfect for the cuff, and then I think this looks really good on the bottom too. And yeah, it's a little bit oversized, but it fits really beautifully. It has, I think, exactly the spot on number of inches of recommended ease. I think my gauge was right on with this pattern. I would really like to knit it again, to be honest. Which means that I have to buy more Corrie worsted. I actually do already have the colors I would do this section for picked out. And I even thought to myself, is there a way that I could make my own color work yoke using the math from this pattern? And I might go for it, because wouldn't that be fun just to try something new? So I really, really loved this. This was a beautifully fun knit. It worked up fairly quickly, I think, for what it was. I cast this on almost exactly 6 weeks ago, and obviously was not a monogamous knitter, but it came off the needles just kind of the way that I wanted it. So I'm really excited. I'm wearing this to the office tomorrow. I've already decided. I'm wearing this to the gallery with some jeans and boots and maybe a blazer. I don't know. We'll see. In any case, super excited. Beautiful pattern. The colors are, can she remember? Hietala is the turquoise. Yellow Brick Road is the orangey, greeny yellow. And then Rosewood is the pink. And I do just love it. Yeah, this was a really fun knit. And now let's whip it. Boom. Oh, I'm so excited to wear that. Okay, so in Whipland, we've got my Lento. Very exciting news for you all. I have plenty of yarn. I just don't know what I was thinking. It's not like I have too much yarn. It is a very cropped sweater. Like, if I stand up, you can see. This is gonna be like here, but that's okay. And I just have my sleeves to do. Body is complete. I did something kind of fun and different with the ribbing here, which will block, I think, nicely, where I did 12 rows of rib on the back. I did a split hem, so, and then 12 rows on the back, 6 rows on the front. So it's not going to be a super exaggerated split hem, but I think this little difference is going to look really nice. And honestly, just giving that little bit more length in the back of the garment, I think will also be nice considering just how cropped she's going to be. But I have plenty left to do the arms, so that feels very good. And thank you to everyone who made some beautiful suggestions. Though I must say I'm really glad that I don't have to stripe it, because I didn't want a striped sweater. I wanted a plain sweater for this particular iteration. Also, I really like my fold down on this, which, you know, was something that kind of holds me back about my other Lento, but I do think that turned out really nicely, and I'm excited to wear it. Little fluff vest. This is knit out of the Wandering Flock in Dusty Blue, both the DK and the Mohair. Isn't that just the sweetest thing? I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So this is in honor of, or as a entry into the Let's Lento. Oh yeah, see, look at that pickup. It's like I know what I'm doing. Or not pick up, I guess, knit down. And the Let's Lento is being hosted by the always stunning Meaningful Stitch podcaster Aimee and the delightful Rebecca from the Creabea Knitting Podcast. So, and it's frankly another bougie sweatshirt. So it's all happening. With the Lento, I think I can knock out those sleeves this week and be able to wear it in Portland next week. So excited. And then, speaking of Rebecca, I am knitting in the round in my zipper sweater. Da, 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 da. Oh, I love this color so much. Okay, so I'm into the round, half fisherman's rib in the round. Here, is this an okay way of showing this? Is this so funky? No one can tell what's going on. So this is the collar. I showed you that super cool pickup and construction. Or I don't think I gave anything away, but I showed you how excited I was about it last time. And I have to say, I did a much better job on the second side even. My seam looks real nice. And I'm really quite happy with that, for sure. I have to admit though, half fisherman's rib in the round is not like the most efficient knit for me. So I've come to a little agreement with myself. So I was having trouble to getting the fabric that I wanted when I went from knitting flat to knitting in the round. And you can see actually there's one row that's a bit where my stitches are a bit bigger and rowed out. Well, it doesn't look as bad on the camera. But there's one row that has a little bit, there you can see, right where I went into the round. That's because I had a lifeline in and I was trying a lot of different methods. I think what I've basically landed on is doing, so basically when you knit half fisherman's rib, also known as half brioche, when you two rows or 2 rounds make one single row of stitches. So because you're knitting into the stitch below or doing yarn overs. So what I have done just to give my hands a bit of a break, and that that is something that's come up in the tester chat. Some people are having a hard time with their hands on it, is I am knitting one round, doing my purling all the way around, and then knitting one below, because I am knitting it in half fisherman's rib technique, not half brioche. And then I'm turning it inside out and doing, so basically it's like a faux short row, I guess, but I'm not doing a short row, I'm doing a whole row. And then I'm turning it inside out and doing one round, knit every stitch, and then purl one below. And so far, I think it's been really effective. I don't think there's anything you can, I mean, there's no way to tell. Here's my, at least I can't really tell. Here's where I'm making the swaps. So it looks exactly the same. Maybe it's a little messier, but I think that'll block out, no problem. And what that does is it just kind of gives my hand a break, because I think the purling into the one below can kind of do some wrist stuff for me. So anyway, it's going fine. It's just a lot of knitting. It's a lot of knitting to get less fabric, and so it's not for me as just kind of, woohoo, I'm on the body, let's just go. It's more, okay, I'm gonna get 3 centimeters done tonight. So it's much more kind of, to be honest, I've left process knitting with this particular project, and now I'm like product knitting, because I really do want it, and I think I'm gonna wear it all the time. So, and I think that happens with a lot of projects, where sometimes the beginning part, or where you're doing more complicated construction or color work or something like that, is that process time. And then I sometimes slip into, okay, let's get this done so I can wear it. So that's the kind of stage I am with this piece, but I really do need to kind of get this knocked out, because I have decided I think I'm gonna take the zipper application to a tailor, because I just don't think it will look good hand sewn. And I don't have a sewing machine, and I don't have the bandwidth in my life right now to learn how to sew well enough to make this reflect the effort and materials that I've put into it. This is also knit in La Bien-Aimée Corrie worsted. I really do love this yarn. I think that the colors are amazing, but it's also incredibly flexible in terms of what it can do, and the stitch definition is just so nice. Here, let me find, here, this is, I think, a really nice spot where you can see it doubled. So the stitch definition is really amazing right there. Oh yeah, so that's a little brighter than it is, but it's not as dark as it came up right before. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to wear this. Seriously stoked. So, getting on my horse, knitting away on this. I also made a few mistakes on my selvage rows here for the zipper, and so that is imperfect. To be frank, we did offer some comments too about how the slip stitches are communicated. I think that it's clear if you're doing the if you're doing the brioche stitch, it's clear which side you're slipping your stitches on. And so I think the folks doing half fisherman's rib just needed to read that more carefully and interpret it for our stitch count. So I did not do that very well. And so I'm hoping that with a tailor inserting the zipper, I might be able to get away with it a little more. It won't be as obvious, especially for me and my lack of seamstress prowess. Love this. It is the, I have not said the name of the pattern, have I? This is a test knit for the Larneck sweater from Rebecca Crowley of the Creabea Knitting Podcast, and it's going to be amazing and super wearable. So what I really should have done last night was as my favorite British podcasters say, crack on with this test knit and get a few more centimeters done and feel good about myself. Did I do that? No. No, I did not. Did I cast on a new project? Yes. Yes, I did. So, regular viewers may remember my Marseille sweater project, which I was super excited about, and which I got some really amazing green. And where's my blue? Oh my gosh. So this is my main color. Is it bright enough for you? And look at this insane navy. So this navy is dyed on brown wool, and I think it's just so good. It really soaks in the light. It's not refractive. It's really deep and moody, and then it's contrast with this just bouncy, bouncy green. And then I saw that there was a really cool green mohair from Sandisgarn, and I was like, oh, this is the way that I finally get that silly book. Sorry, it's not a silly book. Where'd it go? I talked about it last time. Oh, here it is. This is the Sandisgarn Soft for Women that I had been trying to find for many months, and I didn't need any Sandisgarn yarn, and then at the end of that last year, I found some Sandisgarn yarn that I quite needed. And so I tore out the little bit that I had started and added in this electric green mohair, and I'm so excited, y'all. This isn't really even worth showing. This is the back panel and my provisional cast on. It's like nada, but I love the color. I love the color so much, and knitting with this just makes me think of spring. And my vision for this sweater is wearing it with ripped jeans or jean shorts on the beach, and it's like the end of a cold beach day, and then I have this fuzzy, amazing sweater to go over it. Yes? Sounds right, right? Sounds right. So that's my Marseille sweater. Oh, and I did get also the corresponding mohair for. I mean, look at that. Isn't this going to be so fun? Really, really excited about that piece. So that is what's happening in Whiptown. And now, should we do a little Q&A? I don't have acquisitions because I'm not acquiring anything. So, la-di-da. I have lots and lots of fun questions that people submitted both on the YouTube video from last, was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, from my last video, and also from Instagram. I will not get to all of them, but I did pick out a few, and I'm really excited to talk you through them. So some are kind of knitting related, and some are more kind of life stuff. So I'll start with the knitting related ones and then maybe move towards life stuff at the end, so people who aren't into that, you don't have to worry about it. And then at the very end I'll talk about Rose City Yarn Crawl. So excited. So I would say one of the most frequent questions was actually about my color palettes. I get a lot of feedback about the colors that I choose for my knits, and I think that there were a lot of questions about how I make choices about color and basically what I pick first. So I'll go through kind of those first. So first question is, how do you pick your color palettes for your garments? Love your aesthetic. Well, thank you very much. And I would say that my palette is driven by both what I want to make and not always what I want to wear. And this is a blessing and a curse, and some folks may do things differently. I really do enjoy part of this, of knitting as my creative process outlet, is the color selection and going through that process. I think that, so, okay, I'm going to go through two examples that I have right now on hand because they're different, right? So for my colorwork sweater, this Azucena, I knew that I wanted to make a colorwork yoke sweater, and I knew I wanted to play with the colors, and I wanted a gray background, right? So I pulled out my gray, and then I just start putting other colors next to it. And this is round, I think I was debating between 3 different combinations by the end, and then this one won out. This color selection process was about how the colors work together, how I thought they looked on me as I held them up to my face and looked in the mirror, and then also how they would work in my wardrobe. So I know that in addition to just wearing this with jeans, it would also look really good with these dark gray pants that I have and could be layered under a large navy blazer. So those are the kind of questions, that's the kind of process I go through when I was making this sweater. Now, for my zipper sweater, my Larneck zipper sweater, I wanted something that felt very, very basic. I thought that the way that I would wear this piece, it would be as an everyday basic. So that's why I went with navy. And while I'm happy with this choice, because I do think it will be very wearable, I will tell you that I have questioned it multiple times, and I have almost, like as early as last night, thought to myself, oh no, what if I rip out the whole thing and make it again in this? Because wouldn't that be amazing? And yes, it would be amazing. But that wasn't what I was going for with this piece. I wanted something that was a basic, more of a neutral that I could throw on any time. And also, one of the ways that this sweater will be worn more by me is that it will have those stripes that will kind of tone it down a little bit. I think an all one color sweater in this strong of a statement green would not be something I wear as much. For the sweater I'm currently wearing, I literally completely on accident put these two colors next to each other because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with I thought I was going to make a cumulus blouse out of the Killarney Park, I think that's what it's called, which is the Suri color. And then I thought, well, I don't know if I have enough. And I just set down the skein of yarn next to the Glacial melt skein, and I saw them together instantly. Like, didn't even really think about it analytically at all. It just kind of happened. Then I started knitting with it, thought maybe the reason I thought this worked was that I was like had a fever and was like home in bed. I was like, maybe I'm crazy and this looks terrible. But I trusted my fever instinct, and I'm glad I did because I do think it works really well. That was not potentially in any way helpful discussion of color, but those are 3 very different ways in which I think through color for my projects, and they all, I think, worked out. And it is, for me, one of the most enjoyable parts of the project. If I could, I would pick colors for everyone's project. I would just say, this, go do it. It's really fun for me. Ooh, this is fun. What is a pattern you could never imagine yourself knitting? I did see some knit underwear, and I thought, no, thank you. not for me. In all seriousness though, I think that I thought I would never knit a sweater with a zipper in it, and then I decided to knit a sweater with a zipper in it. I don't know if that's going to have been a good idea or not, but I absolutely remember seeing a bunch of folks knit a different pattern that had a zipper, and honestly less than a year ago, I think it was during the summer, I saw a couple of different projects happening online, and I thought, oh, no thank you, I'll just buy one. That just seems like so much trouble. And now I'm so glad I did it, because the way that the construction, particularly for this sweater, is working out, I have learned so much. I think that I've gotten a lot more confident in the, frankly, half fisherman's rib stitch pattern. I think that I'm going to end up wearing this thing all of the frickin' time. And yeah, so I guess I want to say, like, never say never, but probably not underwear. I like my woolly wools. What can I say? Probably not for me. All right, what colors do you gravitate to most? I gotta say, look what I'm wearing. Look what I'm holding. I really, really love corals and turquoises. I do, and navies and grays, frankly. I think my neutrals are really cooler toned navies and grays, and everything else I would love to knit in turquoise basically all the time if I could. My son is 3 years old, and you know, one of the questions that people ask 3-year-olds all the time is very similar to the question you just asked, which is, what is your favorite color? And we've had a rotating list of favorite colors from him, but his recent answer is rainbow. Rainbow is my favorite color. And as I was thinking through this question a little bit, I was like, I wish I could answer with something like that. But the truth is, like, sunset is my favorite color, for sure. Blues, purples, oranges, pinks that feel like oranges, and you know, you can get flashes of turquoise for sure in a sunset, particularly super luckily here on the coast we do a lot of ocean sunsets, and they're pretty great. So I would say sunset is my favorite color for sure. Okay. How do I pick a design from my to-do list to do a whip? Is it color, construction, or something else? I think that it's about, at some points, it's about diversity of projects. So when I knew I really shouldn't cast on another project, but I also really wanted to cast on another project last night, I went back to the Marseille sweater because, first of all, it was a color that I wasn't knitting in at all. It was a construction I hadn't done in, it's a drop shoulder, so I don't even know if I've done a drop shoulder. I've done like one other drop shoulder construction, maybe two. No, I think just one. So I was excited about that. So diversity of project, right? Like different color palette than the other two whips I have. Different construction and different materials. So that, you know, my Lento is superwash held with mohair, super drapey, super soft, super squishy. My Larneck is Corrie worsted, so very woolly wool, but like toothy wool, but very soft, quite luxurious. And so I wanted to try working with this new wool that I hadn't used before, and so it was a different materiality to it as well. And then, you know, I do have a whip lineup, and I'm excited about all of them. I do sometimes get this moment of not anxiety, but just kind of, ooh, I want to do that one. Ooh, I want to do that one. Which one should I do first? And so I think that using that sense of, I want something different than what's currently on my needles. I want something that I can go to when I'm either not feeling something or need a break from it. I think honestly that drives a huge amount of my decision making about it. What is the knitted garment that you wear the most? Frankly, my Lento. I do treat it like a sweatshirt and I wear it all the time. It is so warm because it is 2 strands of mohair that I can wear it without wearing anything else and run and grab the kids. It looks good enough to keep going out and, you know, pick up coffee or go to the grocery store. But it's super wearable, and frankly, I throw it on over leggings all the time. How do you find knitting time in your family life? While your kids are playing or in the evenings? Both. I will say that now that my kids have more time where they can play independently, I do bring my knitting out when I'm hanging out with them, particularly if, you know, they're riding bikes outside and I'm sitting on the porch, or if there's lower levels of monitoring that I need to do. But I have like just barely entered that phase. My 3-year-old is extremely kinetic, very into using his body, and sometimes gets into really dangerous situations really fast. He's at a point now where I can have a little bit more hands-off approach, but frankly, up until even like 3 months ago, there was no way I could knit and watch that dude. My daughter really seems to enjoy when I knit around her, so she loves art and art projects. She's a really, really big reader, so sometimes we'll have some quiet time together, and I do bring my knitting out for that. But most of my knitting takes place in the evenings after the kids are asleep. I pull up some British mysteries and just get going, or on the train. So I commute into San Francisco for my job 3 days a week, and I bring my knitting, and it's about a 45-minute train ride. And yeah, it's perfect for sleeves. I did a lot of my hat knitting that way, and frankly, I think I knit almost my entire, would it have been metamorphic? No. One of the sweaters I made this summer, I knit almost entirely on the train. So you can do sweater knitting on a train, I have found. So that's really when I'm doing most of my knitting. Do you add bust darts, waist shaping, or short rows to patterns? If so, teach me. I do a lot of shaping, actually, that's not in patterns. I have found that for me, and I think you can probably see it best on the sweater I'm wearing right now, for my body type is fairly broad shoulders and then a fairly straight kind of rib to waist to hip ratio. It's not very dramatically different in terms of my measurements there. So once you get past my bust, I'm kind of rectangular. So I find that for me, having the sweater come in just a tad, just so it skims a little closer to my natural waist, gives a little definition that I quite like. So I usually do very subtle decreases along the back, mid-back, and underarms. Usually as soon as I'm past, when I'm trying on the sweater, when I'm past my rib cage. And I don't do a lot. I probably decrease on this sweater. I decreased out, I think, probably 6 stitches. So no, maybe more than that. Maybe 9 stitches. So decrease 3 stitches 3 times is probably what I did. So I do a decrease row and then a regular row and then a decrease row and a regular row. And so I don't think it's dramatic, but I do think for my body type, it's really effective for the sweaters that I make. And I have added short rows on my own when they weren't in a pattern one time. And I had to use a pretty extensive worksheet and kind of flow chart. And that's from JP Knits Things, and you can find it on her Instagram, and it's amazing. And if you want to learn how to add short rows to anything, she is your person. She's an amazing knitting garment designer, but she's also a professional grader and tech editor. So she has an amazing aesthetic eye, but she also has the frankly mathematical chops to get you through things. So I recommend her 100% if you're looking for adding short rows. I have never added a bust dart, and she has some really beautiful patterns that include bust dart options. I'll link down below to her and her website too, because it's an incredible resource. Here's more. These are more questions about colors. A lot of color questions. Okay, this is more like life stuff, but hi Lily, what are your favorite museums or exhibits in the Bay Area or the US? Great question. This is maybe a follow-up to some stuff I've talked about in the past. My day job, I work at an art gallery, and I previously worked in the curatorial departments for a large museum here in San Francisco. I worked at SF MoMA, and I currently work at Hosfeld Gallery, which is a contemporary art gallery also in San Francisco. I recommend both of those institutions. We're fabulous. Come on by. And I mean that quite literally. Like, if you're in the Bay Area, please let me know and come to the gallery. It would be so fun to see you. We have some pretty amazing artists and some beautiful shows. And one thing that sometimes people don't maybe recognize offhand is that anyone can walk into for-profit galleries. If they have open hours, they are free. They are an amazing resource in your community and in big cities around the world. I genuinely feel like they're sometimes an underutilized resource, and there's a lot of education that can happen in those spaces, and that's one of the reasons I love my job, is that we really, the kind of culture of our gallery is really about education, embracing everyone who walks through the door, whether or not they're gonna purchase an artwork. They're important to us because they are our audience and they're our viewers, and I just absolutely love it. So some of my favorite places to see art are also maybe that aren't like, you know, just your Whitneys or your moments in New York City. Another great resource that's sometimes unsung is university art galleries and art museums, also almost always free, and also have amazing collections and resources, and are empty a lot. And I say that as someone who goes to them a lot and is always shocked that there aren't just like hordes of people storming the gates, because they have really sometimes super important collections and also sometimes art that you're not going to see anywhere else. So that's another kind of resource. Almost every university has an art viewing space, and sometimes it's student work too, which is always kind of fun to check out. And then sometimes it's a more historical collection. So I think those are really amazing resources. Some of my all-time favorite art museums in the US are the Museum of Fort Worth in Texas. It's a really, really amazing building, really spectacular collection, and the architecture I just really love of that space. I really do think that the new Whitney building in New York City is really spectacular and special. I also loved the old Whitney, so don't come at me, Whitney architecture, brutalist architect stands. Like, I get it. I loved that too. We can have both. We can do it all. What else? I love the Art Institute of Chicago. I think it's a really beautiful, romantic space full of super, super, super smart curators making important decisions, and I love what they're doing. I also really, I got to go to Berlin for the first time last summer, and I had some really great art viewing experiences in Berlin at the Kunstakademie, and I would recommend that to anyone who is traveling or located over there. I had some really, really great experiences there. And then I would say one of my favorite art museums in the world is the Reina Sofia Museum in Madrid. It's amazing, and I haven't been in a long time, but it's absolutely spectacular and special, and you can do it in a smaller amount of time. One thing that I also like to nerd out about is that I don't think you should spend hours and hours in a museum or any cultural institution. We all only have so long that we can pay attention to what stuff looks like and how it makes us feel, which, by the way, is the reason I like going to art museums and the reason I love my job. That what we do is look at things and then have them make us feel things and then think about the things they make us feel. Like, that's why I love art in the art world. So I would say there's only a set amount of time that you can do that, and then you should go have a snack. That's what I think. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents. And these are all really sweet. And let's see. I think I might leave it there for today. Okay, I have one more. Oh Hi Holly, which is a very fun follow on Instagram, asked me, want to go to Portland with me? And the answer is yes, absolutely I do. I'm so excited. I love Portland. I am going to eat such amazing food. I'm going to play with my beautiful niece, and I'm going to go squish all the yarn with my mama. Very excited about that. And I'm thinking that it would be really fun to do another meetup. So I don't have like a ton of firm plans. I will be going to the Ritual Dyes store, which is in Ladd's Addition, and I will head there, and right across the street is a cute little bar cafe area, and I will post the meetup time, and that's the place. And anybody who wants to head over and grab a beer or a coffee and hang out, I would absolutely love to see you. I'll post all the details below. I just want to double check and make sure I have the dates right, and I don't want to look at my phone while my camera's rolling. I will get on it, I promise. I'm losing my light, so I'm going to say goodbye. This was so much fun, as always, y'all. I kind of can't believe I've been doing this for a year. It has become a really, really fun ritual and really rewarding part of my life, and I guess thank you. Thank you. I would do it, frankly, even if nobody watched, but it's really fun that you're watching. It's awesome. So that's the show, folks. Please do comment below and like and subscribe and all the things, and you shall receive my favorite color is sunset giveaway. And I'm just super, super excited to keep sharing and chatting together. Please keep putting yourself out into the world, because it's such a better place when you do. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all later. Bye.